Anything fully electric certainly gets a lot of attention because it is that next big frontier.
And especially so in the Indian market where we are kind of starved for these kind of products. So after we've seen a couple of our rivals, this one becomes relevant because it's an SUV and it is fully electric. So the MG ZS EV is finally here. Well, almost here in that sense. What you're seeing here today is an unveil, and the whole point is
MG wants to give us a sense of the overall pitch that it's making. So it's not just about the arrival of the car.
And yes, we don't know the prices yet. It's also about how it becomes practical, and so that's where this entire story starts to play out. And so we're talking about the battery itself and the EV motor. You've got a 44.5 kilowatt hour battery, you've got a 340 kilometer real world driving range, and that's something MG claims is based on real world driving conditions here in India.
So we'll certainly hold them to that claim. And then you can see that it's also got a few other interesting things. They're calling it a sky roof.
90% of the roof is glass. It's not just a sunroof or a panoramic sunroof anymore.
It's got a PM 2.5 filter, very relevant these days, and so that means
that the car will filter out all the noxious gases and the particulate matter. So if you are in there, the air, they claim, is going to be pure. Well, the big question, of course, is about range anxiety and how this new car will handle all of that. And for that, MG says that it has 5 different options that it's ready to give you. There's the onboard car charging cable that every one of these cars will come with, and that of course will be a cable that fits into a 15 amp socket, something that you can use to charge pretty much anywhere, though of course that will be slower charging. And then you've got the setup that they will do for you at either your home or your office or both, and that will use a faster charger. But then you've got the superchargers, the super fast chargers, which will be the DC chargers being set up. That's a separate whole thing that's being done at all MG dealerships across the country. Now, in terms of styling, the car follows the MG ZS styling from other markets. That's the non-EV version, but this does get its own special grille, and there are certain modern elements like the daytime running lights. The overall size, shape and proportion of the vehicle tells you that this fits into the Creta segment, and so we hope that pricing is reasonably competitive, keeping in mind where it fits in. And that also means, of course, that in terms of size, it sits below the Hector as well. Alright, let's now take a look at the car on the inside. So of course you've got the touchscreen, and there is the connectivity option with iSmart 2.0. This is now the updated system and interface, which means it's even better than the one that was first offered on the Hector. So another connected car, and this one also claims then obviously to have internet inside. Now with that you also get the voice assisted or the virtual assistant with voice. The instrument cluster interestingly also gives you how much of your carbon footprint you're actually offsetting or saving by driving this car. So it tells you in kilogram terms how much of a carbon offset you're really benefiting from. I do like the flat floor on one of these, and all electrics. Just take a look at the leg room that you get on the inside of this in the rear. That is quite ample, and speaking of ample, so is the boot. Despite the fact that it is a relatively higher floor, but you still get a decent amount of luggage space. So finally, the last point, which is what I started off saying I don't know, and that is the price. We'll have to wait and see if it is competitive or not. But when will the car launch? Well, we are going to have media drives in just a few weeks' time. In fact, it's just a few days' time. And so you'll have our first impressions then. But it will also be interesting to see how the car is priced when the car is launched in the first or second week of January. And it's just going to be in 5 cities to begin with. That's Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, Hyderabad and Ahmedabad. There was a very significant announcement from MG saying that at the Auto Expo, we're going to see a whole range of EVs. Not one, not two, but possibly more that are going to be brought to the Indian market. And so you better believe that the same battery pack and the same infrastructure that we've talked about and all of these USPs
will apply then to those future vehicles, and that then explains to you why so much is being done for this car before it arrives. MG is following up on the big success of the Hector with its second internet SUV for India, but this one is of course all electric. I am talking naturally about the ZS, and I will talk more about that with Rajeev Chaba, who's joining us right now. Good to see you.
Thanks.
Always is.
Thank you.
I know it's been a crazy busy time for you because you're sort of leading up to this. The whole idea of showing us the car today and sort of walking us through the various aspects of what this journey is going to entail for the consumer. How crucial is it for you to get even that communication right, and then, of course, stitching up all those elements in time for the launch?
Right. I think a great question. Like Siddharth, probably more than me, that there are lots of doubts and myths about this whole EV thing right now, about the car, safety, range, pricing, maintenance, charging. What happens, resale, our typical Indian question, or what happens to resale, what will happen to the battery, whole lots of things, and very genuine questions, like, if I'm not in the auto side, probably I will have the same question. So through this event today, it was a very big milestone for us that we tried to communicate various aspects of these questions in the forum today, and I hope it gets communicated. But again, only one-time event will not do it. So we need to keep doing it at every stage. So you saw one character called Avira. So we have created that technology mascot from our side, and we'll keep doing more and more videos on from Avira to public to keep educating about this whole thing, various aspects. But we are pretty excited that we are here now with EV. Luckily, we got good response from Hector, and we were the first internet-connected car. And now we are going to bring good, globally successful ZS EV now. And so it's a journey where we are going to start and taking the first step today. Hopefully, we should start selling it in January. Our media drive and booking should happen in the next 2-3 weeks. So let's see how is the response, but we are getting ready with each and every aspect of the ecosystem, like charging questions. So we are going to give a charger with the car at your home. If you get stuck somewhere on the road, then we will have a mobile charging van. If you want to have a fast charging at our dealership, so we'll have a fast charger. So we are not going to depend on public infrastructure to start with. We are going to
add on to it.
Right.
When
so
it happens.
I hope that will happen. So that will be cherry on the cake, hopefully.
Okay, fair enough. And the whole aspect of what you've communicated today, it answers, like you said, or busts some of those myths and answers a lot of doubts and questions. But as a business, it'll come down to obviously the success of the car, and what it also does in many ways. It's sort of stupid to say that is it relevant for you to get this right because it's the first of many to come, but it is indeed that. And so given that sort of pressure to get it right, I won't ask you, how many cars will you sell, or what is the price, because we'll find out these things anyway in some time. But how important is it then to get that price right, and to also convince a significant number of people to actually buy one?
So, like Hector, frankly, we are not chasing the volumes in Hector. We have been lucky so far, and we have got more than 20,000 orders in hand, but we are producing only 3,000, 3,200 per month. Now, people ask questions, why don't you produce more? And we can produce more. But the whole idea is get our foundation right, and still we have some issues either in the car or at the dealership, and we are not able to give the best experience to consumer. So we want to hone all that to do it. Likewise in EV. You're right, ultimately it has to make business sense. But initially we are not going to be chasing the volumes. Because here, as I'm sure and you have seen it also today, it's a very skills kind of thing. One of the ecosystems which we did not talk to today is what about the readiness of our engineers? Dealers, sales guys, dealers, after sales guys. So only engineers we are going to have in dealership to handle even sales and after sales. So their training is going on right now as we speak. So again, fundamentally, we need to be strong, foundation needs to be good, and we are going to launch only in 5 cities.
I was going to say, that brings us to the 5-city
logic. 5-city logic, because we can't have enough resources, trained, well-skilled resources, and more than that to start with. So we are being cautious. So in 5 cities we'll start with, and then depending on the demand, we'll start start growing and this will evolve. So, but one thing I want to make it very clear, it's not a tokenism from our side. It's not a symbolic thing. We are serious about it. And hopefully we would be bringing more electric vehicles. This is just the first car.
That was going to be my next question, because you sort of alluded to that, saying at the expo we're going to show you more. So that's the last area I want to talk about. You know, I mean, the fact that you'll want a certain scale, at least, let's not call it volume, with this car, and then, like you said, once the demand grows, once your capability grows, you'll take it to other cities. How important is it to sort of keep that momentum? Because sometimes, you know, people are more easily convinced when they see that it's not just this one-hit wonder or this one token car, but that you're serious. You're following it up with like a portfolio approach.
Yeah, so I'll take a step back to and then answer this question. See, there are some giants in Indian automotive space and we just cannot compete with them. They're really good and they have taken 20, 30 years to establish themselves and all. So
some of them have still not even done the token, by the way. I might want to quickly add. I know you can't say that, but I can.
So you know, this is our way to establish ourselves, and that's why in Hector also we claim, maybe jointly with one other player, that we are the first connected car in the country, internet car in the country, right? And this is going to be again one of the few ones to start the EV journey. So connected car, EV car, and that's how we are trying to establish. But this momentum has to continue because we are raising the bar for ourselves, right? So I want to tell that we have the technology. Be ready to see more and more, and hopefully we can keep surprising on few fronts.
But given that you want to occupy that space and sort of take leadership in it, because that is one area that is up for grabs, can we then expect some of that to go into the pricing on this car to make it attractive?
One thing, you know, I'm happy to say that even on the Hector side, we have a positive contribution margin. We are not selling anything at a loss.
Yet you surprised with prices.
Right. So because we have the competitive advantage in few things, like in this case, important thing is, as we said, we are the only mainstream manufacturer in the world who has invested in the battery plant. Tesla has done one, but Tesla is very niche. Right? Yeah. So Tesla has done it, and we have done it. Yeah. Right? No other player, OEM player, has invested in a battery plant. We have done that. You know, so that gives us competitive advantage. But same enough time on EV pricing also, my personal target is to make sure that we don't lose money. So let's see what pricing comes out.
I can't wait. I can't wait to drive it. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Congratulations on today's rollout.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.